Welcome back to The Explainer. Today we're going to dive into a classic story that you probably think you already know inside out. But when we actually break down the narrative of the Elves and the Shoemaker, we uncover something pretty fascinating. It's not just a simple bedtime story. It's actually a highly structured, almost step-by-step lesson on the mechanics of hard work, the power of selfless help, and the true meaning of giving thanks. I absolutely love breaking down narratives like this because, honestly, they hold these timeless blueprints for how we interact with the world.
So let's jump right into this with the driving motivation of our entire story. It all starts somewhere very far away in the land of the elves. We have these three little elves who are on a mission. They don't just want to be elves forever, they are actively preparing to become good-hearted fairies. And how do they pull that off? By venturing into the human world to bring joy. Their ultimate goal is incredibly simple. I want every single person to be very happy. If they can help humans and bring them joy, they achieve their own transformation. Keep this motivation in your back pocket, because it perfectly sets up the dynamic of unconditional giving we're going to see.
Let's start with Section 1, the poor shoemaker's struggle, hard work in tough times.
Picture this. In an old, quiet house, we have a hard-working shoemaker and his wife, and they are experiencing some incredibly tough days. The shoemaker has been working his entire life, trying to earn his daily bread by making new shoes and repairing old ones. But despite his relentless work ethic, he has hit absolute rock bottom financially. One day, he looks at the money he's made, goes out to buy supplies, and realizes he only has enough cash for a single piece of leather. Think about the pressure of that moment. Just one piece of leather. It's just enough to make one final pair of shoes. His entire livelihood is resting on this single, final asset.
Now, how does he react to this desperate situation? Does he throw his hands up and quit? No way! Look at his precise evening routine. Step 1, he carefully cuts the leather to prep his work for the following day. Step 2, he leaves it neatly arranged on his work table in the workshop. Step 3, he closes the door and goes to sleep. He is preparing the foundation for his next day of work, totally unaware that a magical intervention is about to happen. He's doing everything right, putting in the effort, even when things look incredibly bleak.
Moving right along to Section 2, the Midnight Mystery, a cycle of compounding success.
What happens next brilliantly illustrates a textbook snowball effect. Just look at how this timeline plays out. The shoemaker wakes up on day 1, stretches, walks into his workshop, and instead of raw leather, he finds a perfect, beautiful pair of shoes. He sells them immediately to a wealthy customer walking by his window. But notice what he does next. He doesn't just go out and spend the money, he reinvests it. He buys enough leather for 2 pairs of shoes. Day 2, he cuts the leather, goes to sleep, and wakes up to find 2 amazing pairs. He sells those for a great price, buys even more leather, and by day 3, he's waking up to a literal pile of magnificent shoes. Over the course of many months, this cycle of reinvestment and magical midnight labor scales his business up until he has great wealth and even buys a beautiful house. The foundation of his luck was his absolute willingness to keep reinvesting in his craft.
But you know how it is. As the days turn into months, human nature kicks in. The old man becomes intensely, undeniably curious. Who on earth is running this midnight production line? He simply has to know. He tells his wife, "Tonight I will finally be able to meet the shoemaker." He makes the decision to stay awake, setting up a secret stakeout hidden right inside his workshop closet.
Which brings us to Section 3, discovering the little helpers, the midnight stakeout.
From their hiding spot, the couple watches in pure amazement. First, the workshop window pops open, and in tumble the 3 elves. One of them even clumsily bumps into a flower pot, almost giving away the whole secret. But man, once they hit that work table, they are an absolute blur of efficiency. They are literally dancing and working at the exact same time. One cuts the leather, another sews, the third glues it all together. They tie the laces, polish the leather until it shines, and with the blink of an eye, the counter is covered in countless pairs of shoes. And then, they just leave. They don't leave an invoice, they leave dancing and laughing, full of pure joy just from the act of helping.
Seeing this incredible, unconditional act of service fundamentally shifts something in the couple. They step out of the closet and look at the shoes. And this brings us to a core concept here: gratitude. We can define it as a strong feeling of appreciation to someone who has done something good for you. But crucially, it's accompanied by an active desire to return the kindness. The couple is completely overwhelmed. They instantly agree that they cannot just keep taking. They absolutely must repay these little elves for saving their livelihood.
And that leads us to Section 4, a gift of gratitude, repaying the kindness. Notice how the couple expresses their profound thanks. They don't just leave some money on the table. They leave deeply thoughtful, highly personal gifts. First, they prepare a massive, delicious midnight feast, leaving it out to celebrate the elves' hard work. And beyond that, they actually use their own unique skills, the very skills the elves helped save, to craft beautiful, tiny clothes and perfect little shoes to keep their helpers warm. They literally put their own labor and love right back into returning the favor.
So, the next midnight, the elves arrive ready to work, but instead of raw leather, they find this feast in the beautiful clothes. They are absolutely delighted. They put on their new clothes, they eat, and they dance with immense joy. And then one of them says something pretty profound. I think we have completed our mission in this house now. We can go to the other houses that need our help. They realize that by bringing the shoemaker to a place of happiness and gratitude, their own goal of becoming good-hearted fairies is completely fulfilled. They dance out the window, and they never return again.
Finally, we have Section 5, the power of kindness, a lasting legacy. Notice this incredibly important detail about his legacy. The shoemaker never stopped making shoes. Even though he had immense wealth and a beautiful house, he didn't just retire and become lazy. Why? Because his perspective had fundamentally changed. He viewed his sudden wealth and comfortable life as a profound reward for all those years of desperate struggling. He remained incredibly humble, he stayed right there at his workbench, continuing his craft, and whenever he thought about those little elves, he was filled with this deep, lasting gratitude.
So the crucial point here is that this explainer isn't just about magic. It's a behavioral blueprint. Let's look at the key takeaways. Number 1, hard work builds the foundation for luck. The elves wouldn't have had anything to assemble if the shoemaker hadn't diligently cut that last piece of leather. Number 2, unconditional kindness transforms lives. The elves gave without expecting payment, and it literally saved a family. And number 3, gratitude multiplies happiness and rewards. The couple's desire to give back brought the elves the joy they needed to fulfill their own mission. It's a complete circle.
To wrap up our breakdown today, I want to leave you with a final real-world thought. We all have forces of good working in the background of our lives. So ask yourself, who are the hidden elves in your life? Who are the people quietly helping you succeed, supporting you behind the scenes, or just making your daily life a little bit easier? And more importantly, what can you do to show them your active, sincere gratitude right now? Thank you so much for joining me as we unpack this incredible story, and I highly encourage you to go out and make your own luck today.